Happy Sip and Sparkle Sunday. Cheers.
Yay.
Colder weather calls for hot coffee.
Yes.
So,
and Halloween mugs.
And Halloween mugs.
For sure.
I got some eyeballs going on here. You have a little spider.
I do.
Very cool. I love it. So, very happy to be here with y'all this morning and the lovely Brooke Jones.
Thank you.
So, very excited that you're here today.
Yes, I'm very excited to be here. I am been looking forward to my sip and sparkle time with Lisa, so glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, I know a lot of the viewers know who you are, but there are some out there that don't. So if you wouldn't mind just kind of catching them up and let them know what you do.
Sure, love to. Well, it's just been my passion to be a part of helping survivors of domestic violence and abuse really reclaim what abuse took away.
Wow.
And I have been really moved by my own experience as a survivor of domestic violence, as well as other patterns of abuse. And that led me to pursue work to help survivors, to empower them, beginning as far back as 2006.
Wow. Wow. It's amazing.
In 2013, I founded the nonprofit Stronger Than Espresso, and we began work in helping survivors heal after violence and abuse. What happens and what we found so often in my case and in other cases with women and their families that we work with is abuse leaves a residual on a person. It leaves trauma. It leaves places where worthlessness and low self-esteem can creep in and really have an impact on all facets of someone's life. And when opportunities are created where they can feel safe, they can begin to grow emotionally, spiritually, and even emotionally and mentally, they can begin a process of healing that really can relaunch them into their passion and their purpose. That's what really is, it's what gets me out of bed every single day and what drives me to really continue to connect with other women, other organizations, with survivors, and really help bring as many people into this conversation, right? Because everyone deserves the right to be safe in their own home.
Absolutely. Just on average, what are the statistics of people who are subjected to domestic violence?
Yes, and I'm glad you bring that up, Lisa, because a lot of people don't see domestic violence in their community, whether it be at their church, even within their own family, because by its nature, domestic violence is hidden. And it's a really secret type of abuse that people go through. So the statistics tell us that 1 in 4 women have been impacted by domestic violence personally in a relationship that they've had. Now, 1 in 4 is a statistic that some people have said that it could be as much as 1 in 3.
Wow.
In the United States.
That's frightening.
Exactly.
That is frightening.
If you are a mother, let's say you have a best friend, you have a daughter, you have a niece, right there, that's 4 women in your life. The chances of them being impacted by domestic violence is pretty good. We also don't want to leave men out of the equation or even the conversation because men are also abused. And men, they say it's 1 in 7.
Okay.
And men have an even harder time, coming out and talking about abuse. And when we talk about abuse, a lot of people may only think it is physical violence. If there's no bruise, is abuse really happening? But when we look at the definition of abuse, it's if I force someone to do something against their will, it's a pattern over a long period of time that deals with power and control. If I use tactics of fear, if I use tactics of force, or even manipulation.
Wow.
Getting someone else to do something that perhaps they don't want to do, it over time can become an abusive relationship.
Wow. So somebody could just be totally controlling in the relationship to the point of where some of the person's freedoms maybe are withheld, or meaning, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm not going to.
Absolutely. You're absolutely
That's
right.
crazy.
And what happens is when someone comes to us, or let's just say in a conversation, what we've discovered is probably the one statement that someone will make to us about their relationship is people don't say, I'm in an abusive relationship.
No.
Right? They don't.
Yeah.
But what they will say is they'll say, Lisa, I'm walking on eggshells. I'm walking on eggshells seems to be almost a universal statement that is a red flag that says this relationship could have abusive characteristics. Also, I've done everything I can to keep them happy, but it's just never enough.
Ooh.
When someone comes to us, or we share or do trainings with individuals or pastors or even employers, to say, when you hear those kinds of statements, that should be a warning to you to say there might be more with this relationship that's not just a dysfunction or a breakdown of communication, it's abusive characteristics, and those need to be handled a little differently.
Right.
Yeah. And even you talk about restrictions being placed on a person, even out of my own story of, I got married. I never intended to end up in an abusive relationship, but slowly but surely things were taken away. My freedom. One day I went outside and my car was gone, and I said, hey, where's my car? And he said, oh, don't worry. I'll be driving you everywhere you need to go.
Oh my gosh.
I was asked to quit my job.
Wow.
I moved away from my network, my friends, my family. And unfortunately, when I was isolated and financially dependent, things that I had never imagined when we were dating and in that first beginning of our marriage, things changed. And I became very, almost a hostage in my own home and in my relationship. And that's when the fear factor and violence continued to increase. And that was my experience, but it's a common experience for those dealing with domestic violence.
Now, Stronger is not a crisis center.
That's right.
Explain kind of the difference of what you do versus a crisis center, and if there is somebody that comes to you that may need a crisis center, then how do you direct them on where to go?
Absolutely. Again, such a great question, because when a person is in a situation, they need different services to meet the level of safety and danger that they're in at that time. Domestic violence, by its very nature, is something that heightens danger, and safety planning is important. If someone needs crisis intervention right away, they're running out of the house, there's danger, there's violence occurring, then they need to either contact an emergency crisis shelter. Those are listed online or with the police station, or call the police. There's also the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which they have a safe site, a phone number, as well as you can text. Okay. So crisis is important. If we receive calls for someone in crisis, we will definitely try to direct them to the crisis centers or shelters in this area, okay, or in the area where they're calling. What happens is someone goes into a crisis center, they might stay there for a short period of time, or there may not even be room for them to come in. And that's a really difficult situation. You've left your home, but now what? Okay, so we help in any way that we can, directing them to those resources. What also can happen to a woman or a family that's dealing out of the domestic violence relationship is they go into a transition phase. That phase can be long. It's a change in a job. It's a financial, it's a legal struggle. There's a lot of pieces. We know many agencies and partner with them, so we can kind of plug people in, whether it's our website under Get Help Now, or once again, calling the domestic violence hotline, they can get those resources. How Stronger works and how we're unique is we come and partner with individuals after they have moved beyond the relationship.
Okay.
What we find is people, whether they've been out of the relationship a short period of time, or it could be 25 or more years after abuse, they are really struggling with this internal sense of value, the inability to set boundaries, the inability to really move away from those feelings of worthlessness and the trauma that abuse can leave. That's our area of expertise. So we come in, we provide small healing groups. We equip facilitators to lead those groups in local areas. We do art healing workshops, and we provide a lot of resources almost for the journey, emotional and spiritual journey out of that trauma. And what we've seen is over these last almost 6 years we've been doing this is women have gotten a new sense of purpose, a new sense of passion, and they may come to us for a season, but then they launch on.
That's wonderful.
And they start businesses and careers, and they do things that they thought they weren't good enough to do. And that's what the fun part is.
That's awesome. Wow, I mean, you're truly changing lives. That's amazing. You just had your gala.
We did.
Which was very fun. That was awesome. So talk a little bit about some of the different fundraising that you do throughout the year. I know something is coming up.
Yes.
Which I'm a part of, which I'm very excited.
Very excited.
Yeah.
So we really focus on 4 main events through the year. We have our gala, which is in the fall, which we just had, and it was a wonderful. We had Pat Smith, Emmett Smith's wife as our keynote. What's coming up is our Sip and Shop. And this is at El Dorado Country Club. It's November 28th, which is a Wednesday night. We are inviting vendors to come. It's a holiday themed Sip and Shop. And so if you want to be a vendor, come to our website and you can find out all about the vendor process to get registered. The Sip and Shop is free, open to the public, and it should be an amazing event. That is one of our fundraisers that's coming up. In the spring, we'll host we have 2 fundraisers. We have a women's luncheon. Typically that's in February around Valentine's Day, and we do some special things there, as well as a late spring golf tournament.
Fun.
And that's really going to be great, where both men and women can come together, and we can do a lot of awareness in terms of bringing domestic violence and changing the course of domestic violence to communities that aren't just women focused, aren't just men focused, but saying collectively, how do we work together to stop abuse in our homes?
Absolutely. Lots of great ways to get involved. Can you just share quickly your website address?
Absolutely. So our website is www.strongerthanespresso.com. And one of the things is when you spell espresso, it's ESPRESSO. So it's strongerthanespresso.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Brooke.
Great. Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, so I'm super excited to participate in the Sip and Shop, and as Brooke mentioned, a portion of the proceeds are going to be going back to Stronger. So it's a great time to do some holiday shopping. There's going to be a great assortment of vendors there, and it's just going to be a fun time. So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
I've really enjoyed this.
Thanks,
It's been
Lisa.
great, and I'm just in so much, awe, and have so much admiration for you for what you do, and just how you kind of rose above a very difficult situation of your own, and what you're doing for other women and men is just amazing. So,
Well, thank you.
yes.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
all right. Until next Sunday, may you sip and sparkle.
Yay!
Have a good week, y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.